What's up, Rebel Nation? It's Cam Wicker from the Rebel Walk, co-host of the podcast that you're tuned into right now, the Rebel Talk. In this week's episode, Zach and I were joined by Ole Miss power forward Malik Dia, just about 24 hours removed from him announcing his return to Oxford for the 2025-2026 college basketball season. Ole Miss also added transfer Corey Chest Jr. out of the transfer portal yesterday from LSU. We briefly speak about Corey and him being paired with Malik Dia in the front court next year, and we also get into a little bit personal questions with Malik just throughout the podcast. It's only Malik in this week's podcast, no football, baseball, or basketball to cover outside of the conversations we have with Malik. We'll get back to you guys next week with a recap, or if anything crazy happens with recruiting or baseball between now and then, we will try to get back to you guys before then. With that being said, enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Rebel Talk presented by the Rebel Walk. I'm Cam Wicker, and as always, I'm here with Zach Moreth. Today, we got a little special guest on the show, Malik Dia, forward on the Ole Miss basketball team, returning to the Rebels next year. Announced that yesterday, a little bit after the announcement of Corey Chest Jr. transferring from LSU. And that's kind of just where I want to start right off the bat with you, Malik. It's just, what is your initial thoughts on that pickup from Ole Miss? You mentioned a little bit before the podcast how you know a little bit about Corey, but what's your just initial thoughts on him teaming up with you in the front court? Very physical player. I think he had like 12 boards against you guys. He had like 18 boards against Alabama earlier in the year. Young player. What is your just initial thoughts about him so far?
Yeah, I'm excited to play with Corey. Super physical dude, super athletic, plays above the rim. And I think that's kind of what we were missing this past year. A rebounding presence, a physical presence down low that I tried to be. But I think that's, kind of his game and who he is. And he plays at an extremely hard level. Coaching, or not coaching, but playing against him last year, our coach was telling us how physical he was, how hard he played. So it's really good to have him on our side. And I think that's just the first step in the building process of this team.
Yeah, Malik, and you mentioned Chris Beard, but the first 2 years of your career, you played at Vanderbilt, then Belmont. You're a Nashville guy, grew up in that area. Just how did Beard help you, kind of adjust into Oxford and ultimately have a really good year for Ole Miss?
Yeah, I wouldn't just say it was all like fine and dandy. I came here, and it was definitely a transition coming in from Belmont. Not saying that Belmont's not a tough program, but it was a lot easier there, I'd say, and definitely not the same level of basketball, obviously. But playing for Coach Beard was a different experience. Having, the first part of the season not go as great as I wanted to. He brought me in his office. We talked it through and just got some things established and focused on being grateful and thankful for the opportunity that I am to be here at Ole Miss. A lot of people wish they could be in the position that I am. So it's exciting what Coach Beard has done for me. It's really a blessing to be on this stage and to have him as my coach, and we're going to run it back year two and do even better.
Absolutely. And that brings me into just recapping a little bit about last season. And just first off, like, what really went into your decision on just coming back? I know you could have tested the waters and kept your eligibility like Josh Herbert did at State, but you decided to go ahead and announce that you're coming back. So what just went into that decision like, hey, I'm for sure coming back to Oxford next year?
Yeah, to come back to Oxford, kind of have some unfinished business, as I said in my post. I feel like, what we did this year, me being a junior, a younger guy on a senior-led team, was amazing. Going to the Sweet 16, which we haven't done since 2001 at Ole Miss. So that's really good. But I think there's more to the table. Like, I think we easily could have won that game against Michigan State. And now that I got a taste of the tournament, I just want more. And I feel like, with Coach Beard as our coach, he always gets us prepared. And I think we'll be ready even more next year, with the pieces that we're still trying to get and stuff. But I trust that we're all going to do a good job building this team so that we can do something special in Oxford.
Malik, yeah, you mentioned, we're talking about March Madness here. You guys beat North Carolina. You got to prepare for Iowa State. Are you just kind of watching film like all day on that Saturday when you're not practicing? What does that process kind of look like?
Yeah, so when we got done with the game, we knew we were playing Iowa State because I played before us, same arena. And we came back. I think we enjoyed the game for like an hour, maybe 2 hours, went to our rooms, rested. And then we came back that night and did a quick scout on Iowa State. Then the next day we wake up, we get breakfast, we go practice. When we start talking about Iowa State there, scout their plays, the players, their tendencies, all that stuff. So then once we get back from there, we're going back at it more, watching more film, picking up new tendencies. The coaches are learning as the day goes on. And they're giving us that information as we're going in between rest periods and eating and workouts, practice, and more. So those days of not playing in the tournament is just like preparation mostly. And not only just from watching film, but definitely on court. Like we do a really, really good job of just making sure we're prepared for the games, especially away. Especially with that second game, Iowa State kind of being an away game with them mostly being there up north. But I'd say we do that really well in all away games. So it's really fun. And then the week in between that we had is just all preparation. But you still get to, enjoy, the time of the tournament, which is awesome.
You mentioned you kind of that Michigan State kind of getting away from you guys. You felt like you could have won that game. You showed some emotion out of that loss in the locker room and in your press conferences and stuff afterwards. Just what does that mean? What did that emotion mean to you? Like what did this 24-25 team mean to you in that moment right there when everything's going through your mind right at that moment?
Yeah, it meant a lot. I had the towel over my head as the game ended. And, I think I was upset about the loss, obviously, but I don't think I was in a, emotional crying standpoint. But when I got to the locker room, my head was down, Beard was talking, and I just looked up and I looked at all my teammates. And kind of what was going through my mind was like, we spent the past 8, 9, 10 months together, every single day with the same guys. We worked so hard at getting to where we were. We had the goal and plan of going to the Final Four, winning the whole thing. And that was the expectation from day one. And you might think it's crazy, just like the rest of Ole Miss thought it was, probably just to make the tournament is what we wanted, the outside world wanted to do. But us, we knew we wanted to make a Final Four and win the championship. And I think we were talented enough to do that. But once that was all over, it's just like, man, I'm going to miss these guys each and every day. Just the fights, the battles we had in practice, the togetherness we had off the court, the, going to get food, the trips, all that locker room talks. So just when you realize that all that is over, it kind of hit me in the locker room, and it was kind of hard to keep those emotions in.
Yeah, Malik, you guys spent so much time together, like you said, and for your season, I don't know if I realized this, maybe you did, but you started every single game. That's ridiculous. Do you kind of credit that to John Riley and the strength coach, and what's your relationship with him?
No, John Riley is one of one. No other way to explain it. He's put me through a lot. The conditioning part here is no joke, especially the summertime. I think he's a really good guy at doing what he does, of getting us in shape and getting us prepared for, what's ahead with the SEC. And he did a really good job. Like as a matter of fact, I worked out with him this morning. Just getting the lift back and getting stuff going, not, being on my butt all day trying to work out and more. But he does a really good job. And not only that, I think he's one of the best mental strength coaches ever. I think he tests your mind a lot, tries to pick your brain and like kind of, helps you operate at a different level. And another thing I like too is it's not just always just lifting. Like we'll do a whole bunch of different stuff. We'll do on-court stuff. We'll do footwork stuff. He'll do whatever you need to help better you. And, that's amazing when it comes to a team aspect, because you're just not lifting. You're doing a whole bunch of different stuff. Like one time as a team, we went over to Gypsy Waltz, the yoga facility, and did some yoga, did some cycling. So I think it's just always good to do different stuff like that and switch it up. And I'm glad that, Coach Riley agrees to with the staff.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit about just some big moments that happened last year. And I want to start where just that Tennessee game. I mean, you guys had some big wins throughout the year, but that felt like it was the biggest one, at least for the home crowd, for sure. What's going through your mind just in that game, Malik, when Jamin's got the ball and he's just everything's falling for him? Like, did that seem like he was in flow state there? Like, what's going through your mind as you're watching that unfold?
Yeah, flow state is the word. Like, it really is the word. it's kind of like I was talking to him about it, and it's just like it's not even like you're trying. It's kind of like everything's just happening, and it's just really it was really nice to have Jamin have that moment and for me to experience that. And as a senior, last home game for him ever on senior night, it was amazing. I remember going into halftime. He was trying to get me going, be like, yo, Malik, you got this, good first half, finish it off, be strong. But I'm like, break. These guys can't guard us, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're more skilled, more athletic, we're better than these people. It was like, go out there and, go kill. So, for him to have the second half and have 17 or 19 points in the second half, that kind of just willed us. And we were playing based off of his momentum. Everybody just plays hard. One, knowing it's going to be the last game of the pavilion, but, just to feed off him and the energy that he had was just amazing. And then for him to take over down the stretch was just unreal. So one of the best moments in Oxford history. I don't know much about Ole Miss history, but that's got to be up there.
No, it was unbelievable, the atmosphere that night. I'm a sophomore at Ole Miss, but I'm going to go out and say they haven't probably had an environment like that in probably decades even.
Yeah.
We talked about Jamin's moment. Let's go back to Tuscaloosa here, Malik. 19 rebounds, 23 points, dude. Obviously, it was Christmas break for a lot of Ole Miss students. I was watching on TV, just mind-blown at your performance. What's going through your head down there at Alabama?
Sometimes you're in that flow state. I mean, there's no other way to explain it, really. Going through that moment was just surreal. Not really even thinking about my own, accolades or what I was doing, but more so winning at Alabama, top 5, top 3 team in the country. So that was surreal. But I guess in the midst of the game, I'm always thinking the same thing, like, what are my advantages and what can I do on the court that can get a step on my defender? And I felt like that game I had a bigger will inside instead of, like all the flashy outside stuff and doing all that stuff, but keeping it simple. In that gym, kind of felt like I could get to the rim easier, get a lot of, putbacks, lobs, create for the guards. And then the rebounding just came. I think that was more of like an effort thing, which I tried to keep stable the whole year. I'm gonna work on that consistency with it, but I think the rebounding part was an effort thing and just going after it and go and get them, especially knowing that it was Alabama. We really wanted to win this one.
Absolutely. We got like one or two more capping off last season that we'll move into next season. Last one for me, another big performance for you down the stretch in the season on the road in South Carolina. South Carolina is kind of gaining some momentum after you guys had a lights out kind of first half where you just weren't missing any shots in the first half. Can't hit anything in the second half really, but you come down the stretch, you scored 12 straight points for Ole Miss. They win the game. What's going on the bench right there when you get the ball before that stretch? Is Beard telling you to take over the game, or your teammates? Or are you telling yourself? What was the thought process right there?
So got in foul trouble that game, I believe. And Beard was sitting there telling me, talking to me, saying, being in foul trouble, stay ready, stay fresh. And then, just giving me little comments to see like how the flow of the game's going and all this stuff. And I told him like I think it was 5 minutes, 6 minutes. I can't remember when I checked back, and I told him I was like, I'm ready. Good. Puts me back out there. And I'm just like, we're not going to lose this game. No disrespect to South Carolina. Every team in the SEC is good, but we're not going to lose to last place, South Carolina. And they're a really good team, put on a really good run. And, that's the thing we're kind of talking about. We don't want our team to be lackadaisical with just because they're a last place team. If you go back and look, a lot of those games that they lost were really close games. And this to, Auburn, A&M, all those type teams. So, I came in that game, got the ball, and then the rest was really kind of history, just, playing the game and getting really to it. Felt like I had another advantage on a SEC defender, and that's the perk of kind of playing the 5 with a smaller team this year. But it was good, and, just taking over that game and, winning that game was big for us, and I'm glad that we got it done.
All right, Malik, this is probably one of my favorite questions on the pod, but Let's talk about the too small celly. Who started it, and how did it kind of just progress throughout the season?
Yeah. I seen KD do it when he was on the net. And I look back at that when I did it. But when I did it, it was just kind of like you're just too small. It's like something I'm just thinking like we're in the UNC game and I was like, am I really that strong? You know what I'm saying? So when I bumped him and he moved all the way out the way, I'm like, holy cow, like you are really too small. So when I do this, it's like you're itty bitty, you're puny to me. And that's what happens when you have a lot of, smaller fives on me. And, if you have a 4-man guard, man, it's definitely not going to work. So I guess that's how this started. But
Great answer.
Me and Sean, probably the king of celebrations. I kind of took his little 3-point celebration where we do that. So we do that together. But every once in a while, we'll joke and be like, "What celebrations we gonna hit today?" But probably next year we're gonna chill out on the celebrations. Probably I don't need to do all that. That was just an experience this year. Maybe after a 3-ball, but not nothing too crazy. I'm probably gonna keep this area like 2 games, maybe.
I'm gonna hold you to it, bro.
If I do, just shoot me a DM and be like, "Yo, League, I thought we said we was chilling." I'll be like, you're right, my bad. That's on me.
Moving into next season, already talking a little bit about next season, but what are just your goals personally and for this team moving into your senior year, your final year of eligibility in college?
Yeah, team, I definitely say nothing's changed. I think Final Four is the expectation, and not only that, once we get there, winning the championship. And I believe that with Coach Beard as our head coach, that's easily achievable. And like I said, we're building the roster right now with really good players. Having Corey, Chess to put, me at the 4, him at the 5, him at the 5, me at the, either way is just like, I think there's going to be so many vital different things that could be used. And, you guys still haven't seen, but we're doing a lot of good work behind the scenes. Getting some players, and I think that the team that we're building can, do the same thing we did this year, but even more.
One of those guys returning, Eduardo Klafke, kind of just an energy machine off the bench, Malik. What do you see out of him that really kind of excites you moving into next year?
Klafke, I think a lot of people haven't even seen the best of Klafke's game yet. Being with him, playing one-on-one with him and working out with him, incredible shooter, which I think you guys already know. But there's so much more to him and his swagger that he has. He kind of has that Brazilian, European swagger that a lot of overseas players have. And, coming in and he just plays with that little chip on his shoulder. And there's just so much more to him, him creating his own shot and being able to, step up next year for us and having a bigger role is going to be exciting. I'm super happy for him.
Speaking of those young guys, you talked about it a little bit earlier too, being on a senior-led team last year, and you were a junior. You're the senior next year. You're the big dog on the team. What do you just see in yourself stepping into that leadership role? Is that something those qualities that you already have, or those qualities that you're going to be able to learn as time goes on next year?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Partially why I came back. Why not me? I feel like I have some of those capabilities. And especially being able to pick apart from so many seniors that we had last year, just taking little nits from each one of the guys and, putting that in, installed in myself to be a good leader for this team. And especially knowing the standard that we have here. So making sure that the guys we bring in also are understanding what we're trying to get done here so that we can win at a high level.
Malik, yeah, you mentioned the team, all those different leaders who were part of this really cool March Madness run. I'm not going to allow you to say yourself, but who was the funniest guy in the locker room this past year?
The funniest guy in the locker room, it's 1A and 1B. I'll give it to Rob Cowherd, and I'll give it to Cam Brown. Mugs. Them two right there, that's 1A, 1B. We always have a really good laugh when I'm with them, whether it's on the bus, in a locker room, or on a flight. The good thing about the locker room, though, we'll always just sit there right before practice and just be chopping it up, and we'll be laughing right before practice. We already got our pre-practice work in, so we'll just be chopping it up and getting a good ass laugh in. So it's good, and we all in that little corner. It's just, it's funny.
Just kind of wrapping it up a little bit. And if Zach's got one more, he can shoot one after two. But kind of just your favorite part about being in Oxford for this past year. You got any like go-to spots after the games you go eat? What's just your favorite things to do when you're not playing basketball?
Yeah, Oxford's really different from what I'm used to being in Nashville. So it's kind of hard to adjust to at first, but I got my basketball here. That's what matters most. But outside of that, being in Oxford, going out to eat every once in a while. I like Opa. I heard it's closing though. Maybe.
Yeah.
They closed down Opa, which is horrible. I'm like, why? I'll fund the place if I got to. I love that place. But Opa, I like Oxford Burger Company.
Yeah.
And then some of the like little entertaining things. Like sometimes I'll go to the movie theater by myself, or I'll play pickleball, which I did a lot this summer, which you'll probably see me out there if you're still out here. I love pickleballing. And then I just really stay home and play the game, honestly. But other than that, like basketball is it's just what I bleed. So Oxford's really fun though. At first I was like, why am I here? Like it was really pathetic. No offense to y'all, but like I go to school here just like y'all do. But like I was like, dog, this place is empty, compared to
it's a culture change.
Like Nashville, big buildings. I was just back in Nashville the other day, and I was like, dude, I miss this. But Oxford's like a second home. Once you figure out the place, it's really nice, and it's a lot of things to do. So it's been good to me.
Okay, obviously it took you a little bit to adjust, but my final question for you, if you could take one thing from Nashville and bring it to Oxford, what would it be?
That's tough.
Yeah, I got to put you on the spot here.
On the top of my mind, this is really good. I might sound fat for this, but this is really good cake place in Nashville. It's called Susie Cakes. So fun. Like they would put that in Oxford. Oh my god, that'd be unreal.
All right,
but obviously thinking of that because it's in the mall. We do need a mall. Oxford needs like just a mall for like the guys. I feel like the girls got the square. They got all the shopping stuff up there, and you can get a little Oxford. But like a mall is desperately needed because first thing I did when I got back to Nashville is I went to the mall. There's just so much stuff, like, what I'm saying? And it's 100%. Just like I ain't been able to do this all year,
No, so, like you said, all the shops on the square, it's all female clothing, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, where the guys gonna go? What we gonna do? We gonna keep wearing the same polos over and over? Like, come on now.
So, you guys, you're go ahead, Malik.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
That's all we got for this pod. I was just going to say, if anyone in the Oxford board of commissions there related to the mayor of some sort, you heard it from Malik, get a Susie Cakes here in Oxford, get a mall here in Oxford. Let's get some more men's clothing stores on the square at least. I mean, come on, man. I mean, we got all these bars in Oxford, man. We got Lululemon stuff, but not a lot of men's clothing on the square. You heard it here first. But I think that's all we got for you guys today with Malik Dia and the men's basketball team here at Ole Miss. Big expectations for the men's basketball team at Ole Miss. Recent signing in Corey Chess. Some more kind of brewing up there, according to Malik, that if you follow them all on social media, if you follow any of those transfer portal accounts on social media, it seems like Ole Miss is always attached to some big-name guys throughout the portal there. But I think that's all we got for you guys today. Make sure to subscribe to Malik on social media, subscribe to Zach and I on social media, subscribe to the Rebel Walk on social media. Leave a like and comment on this YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think that's all we got for you guys. You got one more thing, Malik?
Big expectations. We're not going to let you guys down. Oxford, we know you're ready to explode, and, we're ready to do it, man. Final Four, like I said before, we're going to make it happen, man. Hotty-toddy.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Hotty, brother.
Yep. Right. That's all we got for you guys today. Make sure to tune into the rebelwalk.com for all your Ole Miss sports needs.